morning!
Good morning!
This is scheduled to be a 2-hour event, but I think we're going to keep it to an hour.
Yay!
I don't think we have that many barbarians at the gate when we break it all down. So I think we'll get by with an hour. And then yesterday we stayed a little late for selfies and autographs. If anybody wants some, I think we'll have plenty of time today. But while we're waiting for people to come in, if you do have a question, go ahead and start making your way down the staircase to here. You'll ask a question, we'll do our best to answer, and then the next person, so on and so on. Do we have anyone with the first question? Okay, we got one. Go ahead. Come on down here. One more time.
What's the biggest Lego set here?
What's the biggest Lego set here?
Do you mean like a belt on display or? Largest?
I think he's asking what's the largest block here?
Is it the Venmo castle? Take a guess. Well, we're going to take a guess. You take a shot.
Yeah, my guess is it's the Finlod collaboration castle. It's kind of right in front as you come into the doors.
Same guess?
Well, I'm going to give you my favorite. If you go right around the corner, there's my favorite, Shima. They've got a nice big layout of Shima there too. It's a nice big store.
Yeah, as far as parts, it's probably the castle. I think his footprint, there's a big train. The train guys usually have a massive footprint. That would be my guess. So let's see. By the way, I should introduce myself. So I'm Moto. I was on Lego Master Season 2. I'm going to hand it off to the Tim so they can tell you what season they were.
And I'm one of the Tims, aka Tank, from Season 4.
And I am Tim from season 4. If you didn't watch it, we were teammates. And we both had the same last initial.
Hey, you guys did great.
Yeah. I call him TNT Brick Factory, but it isn't caught on yet. Or TNT. I like TNT. Sounds very low something.
We were going with Timinators. So.
Terminators. Next question. Wait in.
So, my daughter's already asked this since my Lego Masters, but she's been kind of curious. So she's in a film production class at school right now. So she's been learning a lot about how movies would be produced and how I'm very excited about it happening. But I guess my question to fill in her more would be like, what were some quirks of the production that either got you surprised to or that you liked, or just how did you think, or something, yeah, anything that surprised you about the production part of it?
We'll just take turns. We got so few of us here.
Okay, so I was just asking about the production and sort of what we thought about it, basically, right? Good technical parts of it. I've never been on any sort of TV movie set, so I have no idea what to expect. We had cameras everywhere. I don't remember what the number was. Every table had a little camera on it. You can kind of see there's a little block. You can see that in some of the shots. They had a big boom camera, real thing, that would go down the middle and swivel around. Multiple people holding cameras, cameras up in various corners. They were all in the shots. So that was a lot of it, just cameras everywhere. You know, every single thing you do is being caught on camera.
No picking your nose.
Hopefully they'll edit that.
They cut it.
I came down and watched my head. The big blue camera was kind of ended up down there by the brick pit. Every time I go down, I spend a lot of time watching it, so I always had to watch pop my head like that.
Yeah, the Technicrane was one of the things. So for season 2, I think they had the same Technicrane. This was camera robotic and operated. So that is a family who owns the rights to those Technicranes, and I think there's only 7 in the world. 3 to 7 in the entire world, and you have to lease them. Or not lease, you have to rent them with the operator. So that blew my mind. Another mind-blowing thing, at first, the scale of everything is very massive. Normally, TV sets are very small, and we'll shoot a wide-angle lens to make it look bigger. But that set is absolutely gigantic. And then, if you're a nerd like me, I'll give you one nerdy thing, is Philip and I, so Philip in season 2 is the really tall one. He's a network engineer by trade. I'm an IT guy. And we managed to see the network cabling box when it was open. It was $1 jillion of high-end equipment being run in there. And then I read an article that Lego Masters, our season, was one of the first shows to be using a new type of internet technology to support the bandwidth for them to show all the video out to LA for editing, direct, in real time. But we looked at the network cables and it freaking cooked our brains, the equipment they had. Everything is very expensive. So it was the difference between sitting at home with a little YouTube video camera and seeing someone burning through millions of dollars in cash, a week. It's pretty mind-blowing. It's just the scale of everything is so much larger.
I didn't even think about the editors not being on site. That makes sense. They're not going to pay for them to travel out of town.
Well, for COVID, they wanted to reduce the headcount on site. I think that was their deal. But maybe they used to kept using it
I'm
because
pretty
they.
sure they kept the second line.
Yeah.
When you had to go to the bathroom and stuff. You kept-
Yeah, so second season on was shot in the Atlanta, Georgia area, whereas the first one was shot in LA. So I don't think a lot of people realize that they moved into Georgia as well. And the studio that they used was upgraded to support the show. Good question?
I'm breaking the mold. I'm going on this side.
Go over to the side. We got some people.
So a little bit more questions about behind the scenes, behind the curtain, on the magic behind production of the show, but on the Lego side. So AFOLs and mock builders here know how much fun it is to sort their Lego after they take it for a build. So obviously that's not you guys necessarily, but did you get to see the people who were doing that and what kind of production that was just to take apart your amazing builds?
Yeah.
That used a whole lot of Lego available to you, millions of parts, and how long that took for them to do that every single time for production. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll interpret it as like brick pit. The mechanics of the brick pits kind of thing, logistics of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we answer?
Here, I got it.
Let's do the teardown part and Katie did the stocking part, I think, right?
Sort of a
So the brick pit that you see on TV is not all the bricks that they have. It's pretty much every element, but they have a lot more of each thing in the back somewhere. And you see they're all in bins of various sizes, and as you empty bin, you can request to have more brought out. You don't know if that's going to happen in a couple minutes or an hour. So sometimes you're making a decision based on how many of a certain brick are right there in front of you. And things like 1x4 bricks, 1x8 bricks are in a bin that's about this big square and that big. That's not very many for this kind of project we're doing. So that's a little odd. But as challenges end, after it's done, after it's judged, in general, the builds get taken apart and the parts put back into the brick pit. If they get damaged or for various other reasons, not every single one does. But that doesn't happen really either. So on our fourth episode, the sound one where we ended up with the magic show stage, one of the comments that Amy made at the end was, it's really green, which is true. The reason it was green was because when I went to look for some big plates to cover a lot of space quickly, green is what was there because the 2 episodes before were the volcano, big mountains, and the kitten one where everybody's making these big things. And so all the tans and grays and whatever in the big plates have been used up and have not been recycled back into the pit already.
My only complaint was they only had either right or left wedge plates. And in certain colors. Other than that, I had a fun time. But the other thing was,
They didn't have enough slopes for it.
they only had slopes to it. Because I like these, as you can see see my wall west out there. I like to do that and the volcano. I really had an opportunity to shine. Yeah, they didn't have much to work with on the slope. So, but you know, you figure my own little interjection. They call it Lego Masters, and so they give us limitations to really push us to show what you can do with just the basic components and stuff. And I gotta say, I just am amazed at how awesome some of the builds and stuff that come out. It's just not having all the parts they have now. So
You're the only.
We're going to play that Crystal and Michelle are international winners of Lego Masters. So represent the true Lego Master winners. They actually have titles. So I'll do two parts because we have such a small crowd and kind of we've got the time. So yes, there is a large amount of people dedicated to the birthday. So when we would walk outside of the stage, you could see the restock. They had a team that were, I call it shucking brick. They were tasked with sitting out, just tearing the models apart and getting the brick back at some point into the pit. And that did not look like fun at all because it is brand new Lego hot off the presses brick with sharp corners. And if we're using plates, if you notice, they gave us little hammers. So you can imagine that we were hammering 16 by 16s down, and someone had to eventually pry those back up and get them to stop. So that was part of the half of it. There was another small component that was dedicated to UV sterilizing to get a COVID production, and then getting it containerized back out. And then they have a front-end ninja team that's all dressed in black, literally like ninjas. All you see is a little deadly eye thing, and they come out and they're constantly trying to repopulate whatever's getting tanked down. You can do a rush job at asking stuff to get processed that you're using. That's just the mechanics of it. For season 2, the first day of production, we had a handwritten note to the Brick Pit crew, thanking them for sorting, organizing, and stocking everything before we started shooting. And we made sure every single person from season 2 signed that. We folded it up and handed it to a production person to run it back and make sure they all read it. Because yeah, as an AFO, what is that like to have someone else doing all of that for you? It's pretty incredible. Especially when you're building and you're just throwing stuff's like falling on the floor. And quite honestly, due to the clock, you're not even going to bother picking it up, you're just going to kick it to the side and keep going. But yeah, everything is just a freaking disaster zone when you're done with the challenge. They're just put it out there, and an army comes out, they swarm it, they clean it all up, and they're putting it away for you. It's pretty amazing.
Some builders are messier than others.
yeah, and we always seem to get to be next to them.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were talking about us.
Oh, yeah. We're pretty big.
Yeah. So.
Unnamed ones.
Yeah, I try to be a chef container, do the chef discipline, but yeah, some people it's just a free for all, there's just stuff going everywhere. It's not uncommon. So hopefully that gave you a little insight into the logistics of the bid. Yeah. Next question. I'm just looking around for anybody. Oh. Well, do you mind if we do the best?
No, that's what I'm here for.
I'm curious how you get on the show. What's what does it all look like? Like the interviewing or qualifications or
Yeah.
age limits?
This one's a little tough. How do you get on the show and what limitations are there as far as age and stuff? So we can't talk about the final stages of it. There's some stuff that happens that would give away too much. But we can start with the early stuff and then some of the requirements. 'Cause, by the way, they're casting season 6 right now. So if you want to apply, maybe we'll give you some hints.
And season 5 is airing starting on May 19th.
That too. Yeah, we got a new season coming up.
Walk around and go see some familiar faces.
Casting.
I got comments.
The only limitation is
So, yeah, I mean, as far as I know, it's got to be 18 or older right now. There's an online application, I believe it's legomasterstv.com. Go there. The casting
Where's
people are also...
LegoMasters.tv? I forget. Just Google it.
Yeah, there are also casting people that are just actively searching or watching social media and they're sending messages. You know, we saw your bill. You know, are you interested in being on the TV show? And so some people are being recruited that way. But in general, it is just a lot of phone calls, video interviews, sending information in, repeat, do it all over again, because there are multiple levels of people involved. There's one level of first screeners, and they kick a certain number of people up to another level, and et cetera, all the way along. And eventually we realized they never said no, and they're making plane flight arrangements and stuff like that.
Thoughts?
The biggest thing I can tell you is to be, and they tell it, and they've said that a lot, actually once we were filming, just be yourself. Really show your personality, and don't be afraid to be crazy and wild, because they want that. They don't want you just sitting there and just putting your pieces together and keeping your head down on them. They want you to be active and talkative and all that kind of thing. And honestly, you get into the spirit of it, and usually, I guarantee there will be half the people there that are just really show people. We had Emily and Christopher, all of them.
Drama season.
Oh, we did.
Totally different animal.
I thought I was a lot, but I soon found out that now my family would disagree with that. You really want to, just let the excitement show. And you should. I was having the time of my life. So that's my biggest thing, and that I've kind of seen through the process. And Tim and I, we actually tried it out several times, so we got to see quite a few different things. And I would say that's kind of probably the big factor than anything. You really got to, show some personality and really, just show how much fun and joy you have with what you're doing.
Just a few other things. So yeah, if you have to be 18 plus, that has to do with the hours that we're shooting. Labor laws kind of prohibit something. Unless Lego Juniors, my understanding is that was in the can and hopefully we'll air it at some point. And hopefully there'll be a second season. So if you're under 18, Lego Juniors might be the way you want to go at it. Okay, so that might be an exciting opportunity. The other thing is, do expect, like anything, if you're going to be near Will Arnett, you're going to get a very intense background check. So if you have a felony, sadly, it's going to probably preclude you unless it's part of your story. No, seriously. certain
Okay,
things.
who has had a felony and it's part of their story? I'm so curious.
Well, no one yet. I'm just saying.
Okay, that show up.
Yeah, but do understand that they do a really intense background check. There are safety considerations, being mixed up like a Hollywood person. And then as far as casting is concerned, what they said, I think it's personality. I personally try to do a lot of YouTube live streams as being a panelist, just to get used to being in front of any camera, to be comfortable, to sort of make the camera blend into the background. Another thing you can try or work on is think about applying as a team, having someone you're really comfortable building with. They personalities work very well together, and that you have some sort of narrative or story that they can kind of linchpin on. Right? You guys always had the overalls. That was the thing. I had the lab coats. Yeah, because we were scientists, so lab coat meant science for some reason. Not that we're doing chemistry or anything, but scientists wear lab coats. But there was always some narrative to the team, some structure to the team. The last thing is, if you're going to apply, there is a portfolio component to it. Do think through, don't rush in and be in a rush to put your application in. Do think about what you want to submit and what the people are going to be looking at as far as the portfolio you submit. So one example is, like from season 1, or season 2, our season, the casting people had thousands and thousands of applicants across the United States. some Canadian, and the number of city layouts they saw was overwhelming. To the point where, you know, if you see another city layout, you start to go cross-eyed, or Star Wars. If you're a great Star Wars stuff with a lot of mocks or something, and you make it interesting, that's good. But it's a lot of gray. After a while, once again, they get bombarded with a lot of Harry Potter, a lot of Star Wars. And Lego Masters can't really do IP stuff unless it's a theme challenge they've gotten permission to do. So do think about your portfolio to submit. It doesn't have to be big stuff, but try to make it something unique to your own personal style that you can speak to it. Okay? There's a lot more stuff we can talk about on that, but that's kind of the basics. I would just draw. We had another question. We'll go with you, and then we had a couple more questions. Yeah, Michelle had a question, but she's going to nail us with something.
And this is probably one of the vagaries of just how they had the show, but like watching it, you know, get to the final judging, and there's obviously other criteria for the builds that they don't necessarily share with us as the audience, but it's like critical for you. Like, how, you know, what kind of things were those? You know, when would you know about those specific guidelines for each build? You know, did it come in like at the beginning? Did they like throw it out? You said they occasionally throw like, you know, terms to, you know, make it difficult for you. But like, you know, it's frustrating as an audience member to not know why you're getting judged down for certain things because they don't tell us. So, you know,
Yeah.
What was that like?
Sometimes it was frustrating, we literally didn't know.
Yeah. I'm not sure we always knew everything.
And I don't hear very well, so there were a lot of times. Well, case in point, the volcano episode. So there was a few of us that were good, you know, because they're always about thinking outside the box, you know, all that. And there was like us and at least one other team for sure that we had a different idea going into it. And so we started along.
Reinterpreted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
We had a plan, we had a story and all that. Well then, somewhere along the line, and I guess it was maybe said in the beginning, it had to be a true volcano on that. So we had to shift a little bit. The other team did not, and ultimately, that's what set them on. That, in fact, some things didn't work quite right. But they usually all in the very beginning, you know, you have to get together and they document everything and stuff. So, and I'm like, I don't hear very well, so somehow I miss them a lot.
So yeah, there is extra criteria. There's always extra criteria that Bill doesn't get through on the teleprompter. It's very EFOL and complex, and it's due to stud dimensions and stuff the audience do not care about. But they do. Yeah. No.
For TV
But
purposes.
they do go over it. It is very explicit. They make sure everybody has to agree that they understood them. You get to ask about certain things for clarification reasons. So, for example, on the shape challenge for us, the earthquake shape challenge, they didn't talk about it, but there was rules of you had to have so many studs by so many studs in the base, then the height requirement, and then at a second level, so many studs by so many studs. And I asked a clarifying question about whether we were allowed to do breakaway panels, and then there was also additional stuff they never got into. I know for season 2, I just did a YouTube live stream with a lot of contestants, and we walked through and actually talked explicitly about what those were, just for memories of ours, on the sake of recording. Sometimes I talk Brickmasters, the podcast, they'll get a little into it if they're able to get the information out from folks. But there is. And the funny thing is, I think for the Shape Challenge, Zach and Wayne, who were one of the 3 finalists, they used their golden brick because they weren't certain that they were going to be on the, and they were going to be at the bottom. It turns out they were 2 studs in from the required dimensions, so they would have been DQ'd and gone home if they hadn't used the golden brick. And they didn't even air that, because I think it got into the nerdy side or something. But that golden brick did more than save them from elimination. It saved them from being directly eliminated because they missed the rules. Because you're not allowed to write down any of this stuff or take notes, you have to memorize it. And when you're exhausted, further in, you forget things. Like for Hat's Incredible, I forgot our hat had this sit on this brickhead model to be photographed, just spaced out. And one of the cars had a big head that matched the thing, otherwise it would have been disqualified as well. But yeah, they do go through the rules very explicitly and make sure everybody understands. But there is a lot of stuff that's very, very different.
Michelle,
And we'll take a shot, and then we've got some more.
Okay, so was there a particular team or contestant that was intimidating to y'all? When you're
Yeah.
most intimidating?
Who are you most afraid of?
Because whenever I went on Instagram and researched some of our contestants and I saw Noto's wolf head, I was so scared.
Thanks, actually. So none of them, not before we actually got on set.
Right.
None of them in particular intimidated. The first challenge, I don't think we're going to do really. Second challenge for us was the kitten one. And, well, first of all, timer starts. He's holding Iggy just like this. And I just looked and said, we're not building anything in 20 minutes.
I told him, you can build, I'm gonna.
But anyway, wow. So once we got past that, we started doing some planning, and I went down to the brick pit to look for some parts. I mean, we're not even a half hour into this. I mean, we're 20 minutes or so. I walked past Sam and Nina. Sam's building trusses. I mean, we're 20 minutes in the challenge, and he's building trusses. I said, do you know what you're doing with those already? He said, no, but I'm going to figure it out while I build these. He had just decided we're going to need some neat trusses this big, matching the width of the required width, and figure out what to do with them. And he and his mom were talking about making a plan while he was building these. And that just kind of blew my mind. And then the fourth challenge, when we were having trouble, and I'm looking over straight across at Sam, where they ended up with a 4-foot clock. Yeah, I mean, we're a couple hours into that, and he's got this thing built up in here already. Sam's a great guy, and he is very ambitious, and usually comes through, but that one with the rug where he didn't quite make it big enough. Sort of used the old trick to save himself on that. Got anything?
Yeah, I had forgotten I was the wolf guy. I was in the green room. I was the wolf guy on Instagram. Yeah, I didn't know anybody. It wasn't intimidating. It was more really enjoying that there was a lot of talent because we were able to have a little mini-con show in the hotel. We weren't supposed to, but we did. To see everybody lay their stuff out. And then I think the intimidation came once the first episode was underway. We had Zach and Wayne do the Dual Dragons, which is probably one of the best builds of any season, I think. And then to our left, for the first episode, and to our right was Dave Coletta and Richard. And Dave, if you don't know, is like really freaking good. But those guys were cleaning us up to the left and the right out of the gate. And I was like, Paris, we're toasting. These guys are destroying us. Just straight out of the gate. And of course, Mark and Steven, once it got rolling 2 or 3 in, and of course, the half has Chrome, Michelle, and Natalie. You guys are probably one of the best builds in the entire season. So I was happy to get blown away in that episode after seeing you do the lead shots for your head. That was straight up like, you guys are going to do great, keep pushing on. And they were really nervous about their little magazines on. Like, you're focusing on one thing, you kind of really happy. But yeah, it's very intimidating as we see the end results and realize that either you're having a bad day or you just know that you're getting out of school by the contestants next to you. But I was fine with that. I never expected to make it very far to the end. I was ready for the experience. So to be able to experience the belt in person and to see the talent on the soundstage was absolutely wonderful.
I would also say that the first person we saw when we flew into Atlanta was Kelly Bartlett.
Oh.
Yeah, you're
okay. Yeah, so.
Wait, Tim, who were you afraid of?
I wasn't really afraid. I mean, I didn't know who we had or whatever.
What was funny though was Lewis gave me a really hard time. We had met at Brick Rodeo a couple of years before, and we had talked quite a bit about his build there. And somehow it took me a little bit to remember him. And so then he gave me a hard time. Oh yeah, you're a big star now, you forget the little people. No, I didn't realize until we had Paul, I didn't know his micro city stuff. He'd been a board player for so long and all of that. It blows me away because I've got the YouTube channel and very much involved in the live streaming and stuff, but there's so many people out there, builders and stuff that I didn't know. And we had that time together and, just bonded so fast that it was just awesome. I was just honored to be amongst them. And then after getting to see him build, when we get started and stuff, I was just worried about trying to come up, that I was going to not be able to come up with things to build. So I didn't have time to worry about, if they're going to be better or whatever. Like everybody says, just I want to go home the first weekend.
Who were you intimidated?
Germany.
Yeah.
Germany.
Yeah.
Germans.
Germans
Yeah.
and Denmark.
Yeah.
Denmark. I have another question. So, do we have someone else?
Don't worry, we'll get back to you.
How many Legos have you built here?
Do you mean on the floor, like custom stuff that we display or sets? How many display pieces have you built and shown to the public?
Total for my life?
I think so. Do you mean on the floor today or just across our all time? Yeah, he's saying all time.
I'm gonna pull a flicker.
That's hard to address because one of the things I can bring out to display, it's not here because I didn't drive, is a town. It's a good 5 feet by 10 feet. So that has 10 buildings in it, several trains, a whole bunch of different little scenes. So that by itself you could call anywhere 20 to 30 things that I built. Got a castle, an owl tree, another tree. We got tons of other little builds of yours. Easily 30, maybe 40, maybe 50. I don't know, kind of depends how you count it. Maybe 100 if you count every little thing. A lot.
You can see the stream of my crop is out there on the table, my Wild West and my little cactus and my landscape thing. And the only other thing I'm really proud of, I did my own Avengers Tower several years ago that actually was his own Beyond the Brick. And I had so much fun. It's probably about 4.5 feet tall, and I just went crazy on the inside with the details and stuff. So you can go on Beyond the Brick and see what I did with that. I honestly, I don't get to build a lot, so I don't have anything, but like I said, what's been mostly shown for me is you got the pleasure of seeing it out there today. So thank you.
Yeah, I've been doing custom builds since 2017. Just to give you a number of years I've been at it. I just quickly went through and counted about 40, but a lot of those are really teeny giveaways that I give to other builders. So for the really big display pieces, like the cat nest that's out there, or the lion's nest, it's around 15 to 20. And I do a lot of spaceships, like really big spaceships, or I'll do a mask, but those take months and months and months. So on a really big year, I'll do maybe 3 or 4 builds a year. Hopefully that answers it. Also, it's easier for me to answer because I build models. Like if you're building a big Wild West town, it can grow over time and it's still going to count as one. So, the numbers are weird. I think the big thing is if you build what you enjoy and you're always improving it and making it better, it's not about the volume or the quality, it's more about as long as you're having fun and you feel like you're connected.
100%.
Yeah, that's more important.
Back to you.
Back to you.
Or by proxy. Okay, it's actually.
I'm not super comfortable myself on social media, but I can imagine as Lego masters, they would probably ask you to sort of have a good presentation of yourself on social media. Do they have any guidelines or any sort of help that they provide as far as how you present yourself on social media, or any not necessarily things that they tell you not to do, but how they support you as far as once they put your face on TV do they just throw you into like, hey, now you've got like 1,000 fans in social media like in an hour? What are you gonna do now? Is that basically just what happens?
Honestly, most of what they tell you is what not to do.
Yeah, I was just thinking those because there's a casting point to it, but.
I'm talking about afterwards.
Oh, afterwards. Okay, yeah.
Well, were you asking about before the show or after?
Before the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, once,
Well, I
once
answered
you're,
a different
you're
question.
basically a newbie builder that's got like 100 followers on Instagram and then you see
Okay.
your face.
Okay, yeah.
That was me.
Yeah,
That's
you're
still
right on social media. So, just in general, in casting, they're looking for a variety of people and teams. So, they may look for one or two people or teams that have a huge social media presence, but that by itself is not necessarily a requirement.
Right.
And kind of like Rhoda was saying earlier, if you're doing the social media, show your variety, and kind of show what you can do. And I guess I'm not answering that very well, but I don't think they really have any posted guidelines for post this kind of stuff because that'll give you a better chance to get on the show.
I would be cautious about what you have on your social media to share publicly. Because
Definitely wouldn't be applying this, I'm just down here.
no, I'm just speaking to anyone who's interested in applying for the show. So Lego Brand it's not supposed to be political. It's not supposed to be this, it's not supposed to be that. I work on web filtering products for corporations where they do overtly tag people if they're trying to look at dick or gore or certain adult things that are inappropriate for Lego Brand. If you are constantly putting that on your social media, that might damage your ability to go through casting because it's not representative of what Lego wants as a brand. And so either you're going to be forced to remove it or you're going to remove yourself. But I think for the mass variety of Lego fans, it's not a problem, right? It's just about having fun with Lego and what we do with it. So, yeah, as long as you're not overtly doing insane stuff that would red flag any Disney or Fox Entertainment show, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. And the volume doesn't matter. As long as you're someone that casting wants, then yeah, your social media might blow up afterwards. It might be more popular. But also, if you're looking to become, if you're looking for the show as a mechanism to become famous, you're doing it for the wrong reason. And I can also tell you it's not going to be lasting. It's not going to happen.
But they don't give you any support after.
And there's no
That was your
support.
question. They
Yeah.
don't.
They don't.
No.
They just kind of threw
Not-
it into the wolves.
Not a little. Not even a little bit.
No,
They tell you what not to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tell you what not to do, or there may be an opportunity, I live next to Colorado Mills, so when Lego Masters was doing it, Celeste had me come over and do a display case. But it's not like this, I'm going to be a millionaire because I'm going to be the social media Lego giant or get into the land. It's not that kind of thing. It's very much an entertainment industry, entertainment thing is free. That's just the nature of it. There's always another season, which I enjoy new people coming in, welcome to the family. Yeah.
Yeah, I can literally walk into any Lego store in America and they have no clue who I am.
No, yeah. With my Lego store, the local one they'll know, but no, I went to Chicago, they didn't know who. I was with Dave Coletta, they didn't know who he was. He's a local Lego master.
Crystal is
You can go. Oh, no, she was going. It's fine.
Just hand the microphone to wherever.
for the end.
All right.
I'm just gonna.
It's about to get real. Don't use the microphone.
Give that back. I'm loud. So my question is, if you and your partner are stuck on something, how do your teams deal with not knowing your partner very well, or kind of working together under pressure, under that time constraint? If you guys kind of butt heads, how did you solve that on national TV?
Yeah, this is awkward because they're partners.
Yeah, talk track right now.
There's this guy named Tim who sucked.
We didn't have any arguments. We struggled, in the fourth episode in particular. But I think generally I came up with the idea for the most part.
That was what was great. He usually came up with.
Why don't you start then?
He came up with the overall idea we were going to have, and then it was just a matter of And then it was just kind of, I struggled a little bit. tried to figure out what I could build, knowing what I knew and stuff to complement the idea and stuff. But we moved pretty quickly. We always came up. I'll tell you the secret was Jamie and Amy. They came to see us twice every episode. And every time they came over there, something had changed. And that's where we ended up. And so we kind of became known as the pivot kings, literally. And when the episode went home, I just had to pivot one too many times. That wasn't necessarily I shouldn't say necessarily us. I mean, we had our idea and we were moving with it and all that. And they come along and say, but he came up with the magic idea, and it was because we were having a hard time with that. And I was like, that's it. And then we just took it and ran. I had so much fun after that. It was just.
Yeah, you nailed that magician things on that. So, I mean, we're good friends. We've known each other since 2014 or so. We've done a lot of display events together, helped each other set up all that. We hadn't actually really built together until this kind of got into this. So that was a little bit of an interesting thing to figure out. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, we did pretty well. You come up with an idea, you run off and come up with the little fish people or the fire sale on the back of the road. And we just run with it from there.
I found it incredibly challenging. So I applied as a team with a guy named Blair Archer, who was out of Portland, but he's now in Bowman's Lego Center. So everything worked out great for that dude. But he and I had a vibe and we were jamming. We were absolutely killing it as a team. When we did our building and practicing and this, that, and the other. So I met Paris on a 15-minute Zoom call before traveling out to Georgia, and there was a week of COVID isolation where we could practice assembling a model that they do that's kind of in the beginning, first episode stuff that introducing teams, and that was it. Then we're on the set building. So that's why I said you probably want to apply as a team and get comfortable with something, because I find it incredibly challenging. Just because we didn't know each other, we use different terminology. Just little things like shorthand of like, can you go grab, a bow? What's a bow? Well, it's the curved slope that's a 1x2 or whatever. Little things like that. It was a hiccup. Then our building starts also dramatically different. Where he has a Lego store that he operates and he teaches STEM stuff. So I was relying on him for motors, mechanization, I was doing styling. But it kind of got to a point where I was just being pragmatic, where one of us would be the leader of any challenge and we would just alternate no matter what the challenge was. Because otherwise we would sit there and talk for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour on the 8-hour challenge. That alone is putting you so far behind that it's hard to recover and just get into the middle. So yeah, being not on the same frequency and working with complete strangers is incredibly challenging. So yeah, I had a tough time with my experience.
How about you?
Oh, Michelle and I.
How did you feel?
So that was crazy because Michelle builds really clean and I am like a crazy messy builder. So it took a bit, but I think that once we found that deep respect for each other as not just a person but as a builder and an artist, I think that's when our build started really elevating. And I really wish, I talk about all the time, but I really wish there was a part that they aired, but they didn't air. But Michelle and I broke down crying on the last final build. Not sobbing, but we had happy tears because we finally we just had a really deep bond and respect for each other. And I think that when we saw that reflected in our build, I feel like we kind of knew we won at that point, or we knew we could finish. I don't know about winning, but Brickmaster said that we wouldn't be able to finish the project, mathematically. And we looked at each other and we're we totally got this. We're solid. So I think that was I think just respecting the other as a builder, I think is the key.
It was hard. We had a lot of conversations,
Yeah.
some arguments.
Oh yeah, it wasn't a cakewalk. Yeah. Sure.
But I mean, because we'd met one time before.
Yeah, that's it.
At Rickrock.
With you. We went to dinner with you.
Yeah.
That was it.
You still have all the team as a club here. Yeah.
But,
But I'm glad you got to go out.
yeah, it was good. And
Yeah,
now
go
we go.
USA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now we go, like, now
Yeah, wait
it's.
till the second round, because Australia's, they're doing another international.
They are.
Are you going back?
No.
No, they won, they're out.
We already won. We already won that one. We do defend.
It's like being president, I mean, if you win the trophy, you don't want to go back, because then,
We do want to defend our title in the U.S. though.
yeah, I can see that.
I would go back to Australia in a second.
Oh, no, we would go back. Yes, we would.
If invited, they're gonna want to have fresh sets of teams. But,
Maybe.
yeah, if they ever have an all-stars, if Cassie's listening, or that internet recording is there, yeah, just please call me up. I jump on that, and I want a different mix of the team, like I said, I had a really hard time.
Yeah.
But I've gotten to know some of the other Lego Master contestants that I've developed. Next, any other questions? Are we good? Yeah? Okay.
So you each get your own minifig, and it's on the doors, and then when you leave, you have to take those off. Do you keep those, or do they go on the
I told you they
trophy?
gave us nothing.
You what?
Oh, I was kidding. I said I told you they gave us nothing.
Yeah.
But the trophy, do you actually get to keep the trophy?
Winner, yeah. But
And do
How
they
do
do
you
two?
split it?
Yeah, the winner gets
You guys want
the
both?
trophy.
Yeah, too.
Oh, you, so you didn't have to have like joint custody?
Yeah, because that's why it's like, if you live in two separate spaces, who gets it?
Well, that's why Nick built his own.
One little key to that though, they ask you if you have a sig fig initially, so they can kind of don't give them your actual sig fig, because I showed them mine that I use, and then something was said later or whatever that once they use that then is their
It's
property.
theirs.
You can't do
Yeah, they
anything.
sign away.
And so I immediately said, hey, forget I showed you that.
Yeah,
Because I had mine for a long time, and I didn't want that. I didn't want to lose that.
Yes.
And I didn't like the one that you came up with for me, but for that reason I said, oh, sure, whatever, do it. Because now, now I do my own version. And it's fine.
Yeah. So, wow, that's different for your season. So I remember in season 1, it might have been Corey Sands who got to keep his because he brought it from his house and they didn't have a fig to cover his look. So because it was his property, he was able to retain it. Every other person though, like for our season, we didn't bring in sig, well, we brought sig figs just to show the internal cast, but they didn't use them. They have someone there who constructs the fig and then takes input from you based on the limited parts they have to try to construct the sig fig that goes on air. But it's because it's their material, their property, their IP, they own their fig, and when you put it away, you put it back. Now, it didn't wind up on the trophy, so Mark and Stevens trophy has all of our minifigs on it, which was nice. So I could eventually go to somewhere, maybe they let me into their house or something to see the trophy. Because I saw it on the set once or twice, or one time, but I've never seen the final one. But yeah, all the stuff that we built is their IP and theirs to use. So like all the mocks we built on the show, we're not allowed to build exact reproductions of it. We can build tributes to it, just by some people who know micro knockouts. But no, all of that stuff is their property and it's their product.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Can we get a picture with the two of you before you run off? All of us?
Yeah, we want to. Yeah, if you want selfie, yeah, one more, yeah, selfies and autographs if you want. How's it sound?
You said an hour.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thanks. First of all, you two on the side. Thank you so much. You mentioned a couple days ago the neurospicy concept.
What?
Neurospicy.
Yeah, I'm a neurospicy contestant.
Yes, I think a lot of us are, and I know some kind of don't come off as being neurospicy. But as far as this community, I do feel like that is some kind of unifying factor. What what have you seen with the production of Lego Masters? Because when I watch the show, I don't see a lot of that overt. I see it kind of hinted at, like the overt. I have a hard time processing instruction or whatever it happens to be.
Okay.
What would you like to see? Personally, I would like to see more of that shown in Lego Masters, just to kind of give some visibility to it. But is there? Have you seen any of that as far as the production goes?
If I'm making sense.
No. I wasn't diagnosed at the time. I got diagnosed after the challenge, after the cesarean, right? So you can always think you think differently, but having a clinical psychology diagnosis makes it sort of official. So I try to own it now. But yeah, there has been another autistic contestant.
I think most are on the spectrum. You're
They
either
could
really
be, but there was
ADD
another
or
one
very
who I think
autistic.
was
Like,
diagnosed and is out there, like actively saying I am autistic. But no, I've never seen someone whose team narrative was that they're representing ADHD, outside of ADHD.
well, they're not allowed to do that. Other teams from other seasons have done that, and they
really?
they purposely don't want to showcase that, which is crazy because Lego totally.
First time I'm hearing it, but I thought it would be an interesting team
Yeah.
dynamic
Yes.
if you actually wanted to represent the
And
community.
I'm on your side, 100%. Yeah.
Right? Because it is a diversity thing, could be inclusion, but it's not a choice, it's something else that's just out there. So demographically, I have noticed that there are a lot of neurodivergent representation in the Lego community. And if not, Lego is a great tool for neurodivergence. It's being used in education plans as part of the STEM component. If they would invite me back, I would self-declare it at this point. Yeah, maybe they won't edit it or whatever, but I would love to connect with folks because I think a lot of younger people, especially, want to see themselves represented. And Lego is a good tool for that mindful meditation, focus, and calming ability, at least for me. And I think it would be helpful to whatnot.
It'd be nice to see the exposure.
I think so too.
It could be, yeah. I mean, of course, I'm that, so I would be comfortable kind of representing if they want to brand me as a person who's neurodivergent and look at that representation. My big thing is, I'm neurodivergent, I don't represent neurodivergence, but if it gives someone the rally point, fine, whatever. I don't care. One way or another, it's just who I am.
That is so awesome. Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, picture time.
Yeah, now we need to get our pictures of the because people want to do too.
Stay right there.
Thank you very much.
What are they doing?
It is more difficult because they don't let you write the rules down. And if you have ADHD, certain components of it, you don't have the attention to store the memory, short-term memory effectively. So that's why I would forget the rules and I needed parse to look me up for that. I apologize. I'm going to hand my phone off as well to someone if you wouldn't mind. Once you get the shots, if you could do some backups.
I got a piece of
That's what Stacy was saying yesterday when we did this for 2 hours.
If you guys want, you could also come down one at a time and be in the picture. We've got enough time. How much time do you two have? Yeah.
I just need a sticker from you. You have one?
Do I have what?
Stickers.
But we're here.
I didn't bring my stickers, but I have a tile.